Scientists found DNA inside living humans from a species they have never discovered. No fossils, no bones, just genes. Sitting quietly inside millions of people alive today, right now, is the genetic code of something we cannot name. Your DNA contains a secret, and it is not from any human ancestor science has ever found. Think about that for a second. Every fossil, every skull, every ancient bone ever pulled from the earth, none of them explain what is sitting inside you. This is not a theory. This is not speculation. This is what the data says. And it changes everything you thought you knew about where you came from. To understand how we found this, you need to understand what ancient DNA analysis actually is. For most of human history, the only way to study our ancestors was to find their physical remains: bones, teeth, stone tools. But in the last 2 decades, scientists cracked something extraordinary. They learned how to read the DNA embedded inside ancient remains, and then compare it to the DNA of people alive today. This is called paleogenomics. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Your genome is a record, a long biological diary that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years. Every ancestor you ever had left a tiny mark inside you. And if you know how to read those marks, you can reconstruct people who left no other trace on Earth. That is exactly what a team of researchers did in 2020. Scientists Lucinda Lahr, Mark Thomas, and their colleagues published a study that sent a quiet shockwave through the world of genetics. They analyzed the genomes of West African populations, specifically the Yoruba people of Nigeria and the Mende people of Sierra Leone. And they found something that did not fit. Buried inside the DNA of these living people were genetic sequences that could not be explained by any known human lineage. Not Homo sapiens, not Neanderthals, not denisovans. Something else. They called it a ghost population. Ghost, because it left no body, no skeleton, no grave, just a faint genetic echo still ringing inside millions of people today. The numbers were striking. Roughly 2 to 19% of the ancestry of some West African populations traces back to this unknown group. That is not a rounding error. That is not background noise. That is a real, significant portion of a person's genetic heritage, coming from a species or lineage science has never formally identified. Now here is where it gets strange. In other parts of the world, we found the physical evidence first. Scientists discovered Neanderthal bones in 1856. Then, over a century later, we confirmed through DNA that modern Europeans and Asians carry Neanderthal ancestry, about 1 to 4%. Same story with the denisovans. A finger bone was found in a Siberian cave in 2008. DNA extracted from it revealed an entirely new branch of the human family. And today, people across Asia and the Pacific carry denisovan DNA. But with this West African ghost population, the sequence is reversed. We found the DNA first, and we cannot find the body anywhere. Why? 3 possibilities. 1. Their physical remains simply have not been found yet. Africa is a continent of over 30 million square kilometers. The fossil record from sub-Saharan Africa is remarkably thin compared to Europe and Asia. We may have just not dug in the right places. 2. The tropical climate of West Africa destroys organic material rapidly. Bones, teeth, biological matter. All of it breaks down fast in heat and humidity. The ghost population may have lived and died, leaving biological traces that the Earth consumed long ago. 3. And this is the one that keeps researchers up at night. They may have been so genetically different that they do not fit neatly into any category science currently uses. Not a subspecies, not a cousin species, something that existed in parallel with early Homo sapiens for hundreds of thousands of years, interbreeding occasionally, shaping the lineage of an entire region of humanity, and then vanishing without a single recoverable bone. Researcher Pontus Skoglund at the Francis Crick Institute has argued that there were likely multiple deeply divergent populations across Africa long before modern humans spread across the globe. Africa, he says, was not a uniform population marching forward together. It was a mosaic. Isolated groups, separate lineages, occasional encounters. The ghost population is likely one thread from that mosaic, one that interbred with the ancestors of West Africans somewhere between 24,000 and 310,000 years ago, based on current statistical modeling. That is a staggeringly wide range. And that width is not carelessness, it is honesty. The science is telling us something was there, it shaped you, and we do not fully know what it was. This is not the first time DNA has rewritten the human story. For decades, the dominant narrative was clean and linear. Homo sapiens evolved in Africa, spread outward, replaced all other hominins they encountered. It was a tidy story. It was also wrong. The real picture, emerging from genetic data collected over the last 15 years, looks nothing like a straight line. It looks like a web. Ancient populations splitting, reconnecting, hybridizing, disappearing, reappearing in the genomes of people living today. Modern humans did not simply replace the others, they absorbed them, partially, repeatedly, across tens of thousands of years. You are not the product of one line, you are the product of a collision. And somewhere in that collision, particularly for the people whose ancestry traces back to West Africa, there is a participant we cannot yet name, a lineage that contributed to human life on Earth, that shaped immune responses, possibly cognitive traits, possibly physical adaptations that helped populations survive specific environments. All of that, embedded in living people today, and science has never found their face. Here's what makes this discovery genuinely different from others. With Neanderthals, we have reconstruction. We know what they looked like, roughly. We have their tools, their burial practices, their art, possibly. We can point to a skull and say, that. With the ghost population, there is nothing to point to. The only place they exist, the only proof that they ever existed at all, is inside the genomes of living people. They are present, but invisible. Known, but unnamed. Real, but physically gone from the world. That is what the data says. Scientists found their fingerprints without finding their hands. And tonight, if you trace your ancestry back to West Africa, some portion of what is writing the instructions for your cells right now, some fraction of the biological code running through you, came from something humanity has not yet named. They left no bones. They left no tools. They left no art on cave walls and no graves to open. They left you. Subscribe to Briefology for more this kind of content.